Hello, hello. We'll give a chance for some of you viewers to start joining us. Today we're going to be going over this SDJ-4000. I'll go ahead and start telling you about it. So thank you for joining us on today's live stream. We are pleased to present you all the latest addition to our long legacy of high-quality DJ equipment at a price that customers can afford. And that's the SDJ-4000 standalone player and DJ controller, which you see right here. This is our most ambitious piece yet, and though it's been many years in development, we feel it's well worth the wait. We plan to follow up this live introduction with a series of tutorial videos in the near future, taking deeper dives into all aspects of the SDJ-4000. So if you aren't already, be sure to follow us on social media to keep posted on those. Be it Instagram, Facebook, whatever, YouTube. And we'd love to go over answer any questions that you all have today during this live stream. So please leave a comment if there's anything you'd like us to go over with this piece, and we'll be sure to get to it. So the SDJ-4000 can control DJ software such as Virtual DJ on a laptop via USB or MIDI. But today's demo, we're just going to focus on the standalone player functions. We'll be releasing a virtual DJ demo after the holidays, so stay tuned for that. The SDJ has 2 USB ports for loading music onto the decks. It's recommended that you prepare your tracks ahead of time in vCase. That's our proprietary music library organization software. If you already have a previous version of vCase that you've been using with our MDJ series, you'll need to update to the latest version to use with the SDJ-4000, but don't worry, all your tracks and prep work will still be there. So the mixer section here has 4 channels, which you see. All of these can be used for external devices to be used as a 4-channel DJ mixer, so you could have, turntables or MDJ 500 MDJs, anything with a RCA you could plug in here. It could be a drum machine, whatever. And you'd have your 4 analog channels to mix. The center 2 channels, 1 and 2, they can be toggled between external inputs as well as the DEX players. So the DEX 1 and 2 of the SDJ-4000 are going to play into 1 and 2 here. So, if you're playing with these, then you still have 2 channels for external. That'd be 3 and 4. But today we're just going to be messing with 1 and 2. In addition to gain and EQ knobs, which you guys should be familiar with pretty much on every DJ mixer, there's also this fast effects section here. So you've got some effects for each channel right at your fingertips. You got filter, chop, noise, flanger, and those we can access just by these knobs right here. Just a little noise for you. Each deck has its jog wheel for scratching and scrubbing. There's also a scrub strip if you'd like to jump ahead in your track. There's also a pad array of 8 pads on each side. This would be for hot cues, looping, slicing, key play, roll effects, etc. There's 2 microphone channels located up here. They each have dedicated gain and EQ, and the inputs are on the back of the unit. One is 1/4 inch and one is XLR, so you have options there. To get these get routed to the master output, but they also can be routed to the effects as well if you want to do some dub style MC stuff, get freaky with the delays. That's all available to you. So yeah, like I mentioned, there's a main effects section here in addition to the fast effects in the center. It's in the top right. It can be set to any source, like I mentioned, the mic, or we could set it to channel 1, channel 2. We could set it to the crossfader left, the crossfader right. We could set it to the master. So pretty much wherever you want to send effects, we can dial that in. And then below here, this is for fixing up your beat grid if you needed to make any beat grid adjustments on the fly. The centerpiece of this unit would be the HD display here. Here you can browse your drive, see track info, or you can navigate through your playlist or your set. You can customize your settings. And there's also two different views. You can have your tracks running horizontally like I have set up here, or you could also have them running vertically depending on your preference. I have prepared some tracks ahead of time in vCase, so I'll just kind of show you what this thing can do. So let's see. On deck 1, I've set up some hot cues. You should be able to hear this.
Ladies with an attitude.
So pretty much what I've done is set it up to use like sampler style. So I've just got these hot cues set up at the beginning of these vocal phrases.
Ladies, fellas, don't you stay. Let's get to it.
I also have some more that are the same, but it's a part of the track that has a little percussion in the back.
Ladies with an attitude. Fellas that were in the ladies, fellas, don't you stand.
So I have those available I'm going to show you a little routine. You've probably seen this before, where I'll just kind of drop those on the fly for some fun effects. So what I'll do is send some of that to our effects section. So I'm going to set our source to channel 1. That'd be this deck I'm playing from. The effect, I'll do like a tape delay. Where'd it go? So I got tape delay. And then I've got my dry wet knob. I'll leave that about 50%. And we'll see what it sounds like with this current parameter. I can change the repeats, and I could also change the time of the delay. So let's hear what this is.
Ladies, ladies, ladies.
Oh, let's turn on the effects first. We want to hear it.
Ladies. Ladies.
Okay, that's a bit slow. Let me turn that up a bit. Okay.
Ladies.
Okay, so that should sound better when we're playing with it. Another thing we can do if you've got some track that you wanted to alter a bit, we have a key play feature. So if I hit shift and roll, that when this lights up pink, we know we're in key play mode. And now I can pitch shift my track up or down, however many semitones. So I'm going to pitch it up a couple semitones, and let's hear how it sounds now. Okay, cool. So now we've got like something kind of different to work with. As far as looping goes, let me show you on this other deck. Let me so we have this pad array. You notice on my screen as I hit these loop buttons, different loop links are coming up. So we've got this would be a 2-bar 8-beat loop. This is 4 bars. So let's just start with an 8-beat loop here and see how this sounds. Cool. So this track is 124.47 BPMs. The other track I have is 126.59. Now these were all analyzed in vCase. That's how I got to these figures. Now of course I could use the pitch fader to try to dial in, get to that. But since there's sync built into this thing, I've got this playing deck already set to my master. So as soon as I hit sync on this first deck, now this is 124.47. They're synced up. So they should be in sync now. Let's hear how this sounds. Turn the effects up a little bit. Cool, so that's just an example of some of the ways these tools can be used. Let's see, another example I can show you as far as how this a fun way to use key play. I've got some more tracks prepared to show you here. So let's go to my playlist. Got some key play tools here. All right. Let me find another track I like to go with that. Sorry, I had a track in mind, and now I'm not sure if I actually put it on here. So 146. What I can do here is go to my browser, hit settings and BPM. Now I can sort my tracks by BPM to make it a little easier for me to find the one I'm looking for. Here it is. Okay, should have had that in my playlist, but regardless, here we go. All right, so let me get further ahead where I know there's something cool I could loop. Okay. So I've got this loop here, and I've got a loop that I prepared ahead of time to use for key play, just for some fun, creative ways. So let's hear this track. Basically, it's just this synth arpeggio that's going to go. I'm going to sync it to this. So I've got master, sync. Now they're both at 1:45:08. Let's have some fun with this. Okay, so now I can use the key play to pitch that loop up and down. So I'm going to have some fun with it. Noise in there. You can also filter that. Cool. So that's just an example of a fun way you can use key play, by pitching up a track, to use, create different chord progressions, or, if you had, say, you could have a piano just chord ringing out, dun, dun, each time you hit the key play, you're switching it to a different note in your key. We also do have in our settings, you can select which key that's actually going to play from, or you can pick whether it's transposing it based on a major key, minor key, Mixolydian modes. So it's very customizable as far as your creativity. And yeah, basically your imagination's the limit there. So let me show you another example of, or let me just show you how our sampler on here works. So let me load up another track. Here we go. Oh, now it's saying can't change track, deck is loaded. So basically, if we have a setting where if you've already got a song playing on one deck and you attempt to load another track there, you're going to get that warning. So I have to stop that loop from playing before I can load a track to there. So I'm happy about that, because if I were playing a gig, I could forget and load to the wrong deck, and all of a sudden my party's over. So here we go. We're going to load this to deck one, and let's hear what we have. So yeah, you all know this track, I'm sure. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up some. I'm going to create samples right now. So I'm going to try to sample these vocal intro drops and see if I can use those kind of like I was using before to drop samples on the fly. So pull up, hit Shift and hotkeys to bring up.
Boy, you should know.
Okay, so I'm going to create these samples over here. If if I hold it down, it's going to record the sample. Here we go.
Boy, you should know that I've got you on my mind, your secret admirer. I've been watching you.
Okay, so
Boy,
now I've got these samples loaded to my deck.
I've got you on my mind. I've got you. Boy, you should know that.
Cool, so let's see what we can do with that. Yeah, this should work. So this will be my master deck on the left side, and I'm gonna sync this deck to it so the samples will play in time. Sorry, I keep making a mistake over here. I'm hitting pause, or I'm hitting the play button when really what I need to be doing is this red button here will stop a sample that's playing. So yeah, this is a new piece. I'm still getting used to the workflow myself.
You should know that. Boy, you should know that.
And I could also, if I wanted to, we could pitch shift that up just like we did with the other track. And what I'd have to do is pitch it up, then sample it, because right now these are recorded in. So I couldn't pitch shift this, but if I wanted to do that same effect as before, I could just, do key play, put it up a few semitones, sample it in, and then it would stay there. Now these samples, depending on the settings, if you have it set to save to the memory, as soon as you turn this thing off, those are going to be gone. But say you want to save these samples for later, you can set it up to save it to your USB stick, and then they'll be there. So in addition to the sampler, there's also this sample bank. Now this is for one-shot samples that you've prepared ahead of time. Let me go ahead and load one up. So I'll hit playlist, back. Got to go to my sample playlist. So I've got this one-shot sample playlist already. So I'm going to hit load one. Now they'll be over here. So if I go to my sample bank, I see them. I have them at my fingertips available. So that's, another way you could have samples. Like I said, these were prepared ahead of time in vCase. Basically, you can just set up a playlist of one-shot samples, and then you tell it to export it to your USB stick as such, and then you can pull it up, load it to here, and then you could be dropping these samples behind another track that's already playing. So
break it down. Yeah, yes.
David, do we have any questions coming in so far? Cool, so what else are we going to show you? Okay, so there's, let me just keep going through this pad array. This is where all the fun happens, really, or most of the fun. So let's see. We've got this track playing. Let me show you so slicer mode. You see when I pull up slicer, it looks like there's a loop activated, but actually it's just showing us the 8 beats that are getting chopped up. Each one of these beats is determined by these 8 pads. So you see how this green is telling us where it's at. So I can tell there's like a snare on this 2. There's a kick on this number 3. So if I wanted to do a little snare roll stutter, there it is. If I want to do kick drum, So very similar to, so as this is going, this is just regular slicer mode. We're just running through the track, and it's just grabbing 8 beats and then chopping it up. If I did want it to loop, we just go to loop slicer mode. Now this loops, you'll notice on the time, it's just going to keep looping, and I can be jumping around that loop. Cool. Next we have roll mode. I haven't showed you that yet. So this is just going to create like a loop roll. So, and you do see when I drop it, there's a loop activated, but you see this caret running down the timeline. That's actually slip mode. So slip mode's automatic with this. You'll see as soon as I hit it, this slip light lights up and then turns off. Basically what slip mode is, once it's on, any actions that I make on this deck, the SDJ is going to keep track of basically a virtual timeline of where it would have been. So I could do all sorts of crazy stuff here. Whenever I stop, it's going to drop right back where it was. So you see this, I'm not sure if you can see on the screen, but this is the SDJ keeping track of where on that timeline the track would have been. So I could do a crazy backspin, and it stops right back where I left, or where it would have been. Cool, so I'll just kind of walk you through the effects menu here so you can see what we got. So you can see here in the center of the display we have all our effects info. It's off right now, so they're all in white. But channel 1, I do have that tape delay set up before, so if I do hit effects on, we have a delay there now. Cool, so I'm going to start this track over. So yeah, there's a flanger. Oops, no. So yeah, I got a flanger. And like I said, we have access to dry and wet. So let's get a loop going here. So that's completely dry, and then I can dry and wet knob to adjust that. I've also got, it really depends, each effect has different parameters that you'd be able to change with the parameter knob. This one is the depth of the flanger, so let's just crank that up all the way so you can hear how extreme it could be. And then the time, it says 16, so that means that the phasing of the flanger is taking 16 beats to make a cycle, so I can make that shorter. So that's 1, it should be real wobbly now. Yeah, so we got flanger, phaser. Squishy. There's filters. So yeah, we have filters here. We also have the fast filters available depending on what you're trying to do. Low pass filter, band pass filter, high pass filter. So there's all sorts of different effects options. And our presets that we've built are, well, we do have a setting where you could change this, but out of the box, if you open up pull up an effect, you're going to get our preset. If you'd rather it just start from 0, you can go to the settings menu and turn off our presets, and they'll just be blank. But yeah, I think they're decent starting places. Let's see, we've got... like a slicer. Probably refine that better before using it. Cool. So as I mentioned earlier, this is basically a full 4-channel mixer here. As far as the I/O, I'd mentioned that we have XLR and quarter-inch inputs for the mics. We have RCA inputs for all 4 channels. They've also got, we have phono ground posts, so if you did need to ground your turntables, use a phono input, we've got the options for that. We also have here in the center crossfader assign. We've got A, B, and through for each one. I've just got it on through, so I don't accidentally hit it. But if I were doing some scratching, I may want to put these on A and B so I could do some crossfader cutting. And you can also go into the settings and adjust just how sharp that is. But I'm going to turn these back on through. And we have those on each of these channels, so if you wanted to set these 2 to A, these 2 to B, have these be through and use your crossfader for your outside decks, if you're doing some turntablism, that's definitely an option. We have, let me just see if there's any features I forgot. Reverse, pretty self-explanatory. Vinyl mode, so most DJs who might be familiar with this, if they use digital stuff with platters, basically vinyl mode turns the jog wheel into like a virtual turntable. So if I were to touch the platter, my playback stops. Move it, it scratches. So that's with vinyl mode on. I let it go, it starts playing again. If you have vinyl mode off, that's not going to stop it, but you can kind of slow your track down or scooch it ahead if you'd like. If you were to pause it, when you're not in vinyl mode, you hear it'll just loop whatever right where the playhead's at. So say you're trying to set up a cue point or a hot cue right at the first kick, or you really wanted to dive in there, you would turn vinyl mode off, pause it, and then you just you could scrub in and find like, oh, there's that snare. So that's why you'd want. I used to kind of wonder, why wouldn't you just always have vinyl mode on? But it's helpful for setting cue points. So back on vinyl mode. Oh yeah, we do have, we have cue as in addition to play. So, you could set a cue, and instead of having hit play and then it goes, you could, when you're getting ready to drop it. I didn't really set a good cue point there. I just found a better spot for that cue point. So as I mentioned, there's 2 USB ports. I just have my tracks on this one, so I only plugged one in. But if you had 2 USBs plugged in, you could access tracks from both of them. And you see here we have a USB record button. This records your master output as a stereo wave file to USB 2. So as long as you had a drive in there, USB record, you're going. It's worth mentioning that you can load tracks off of USB 2 while you're recording to it. That's a pretty cool feature. I've definitely ran into some pieces that don't allow that, so that's great. Let's see what else I might be missing. So like I mentioned, we have there's sync built in. You assign one to a master and one to sync. Basically, if you have a track playing, it's automatically set to the master because you have to have a master playing. But whether or not I want this other deck sync to it, I can use sync on and off. I'm just going to find another track that might play better with this one.
Breathe deep. Breathe deep. Breathe deep. Breathe deep. Breathe deep. Basically, I've got these 2 tracks. They are synced.
So yeah, these will stay in sync forever. I could do quick cuts between them. Let them both play. Pull the paints out of one, put the bass on the other. Shorten this loop over here. It's going to stay in time. This is our master deck, so basically feeding its tempo to the other one and keeping them locked in together. Alright, let's see if we have any questions out there. Cool. If not, like I said, we're going to be doing a lot more of these. We're going to be putting them up on our YouTube. We're going to go through and do we're going to put up tutorial videos on our YouTube. We're going to go through the settings. We're going to go through pretty much, like I said, we're going to do a virtual DJ demo. We're really going to dive in and show you what all we can do with this thing. In the meantime, if you have questions or anything that you'd like us to go over when we do touch on these, please do get in touch. And if you're able to get your hands on one of these things, please let us know how you like it. We've been really enjoying developing this thing, and we're excited to finally get it in the hands of our customers. So definitely get in touch. Let us know how you're liking this thing. We'd love to hear from you.